years ago, if somebody would have told me I'd be using it, I would have called them crazy. I would have been appalled at the thought of using pot. However, I've matured in my thinking, and it does give me pain relief.
99% of the people that have marijuana that we pull over are not terminally ill. They don't have cancer. They're not using it to treat a medical condition. They're using it to get high.
This is Amanda Steen reporting for SILive.com. With New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy declaring that he plans on legalizing recreational marijuana during his first 100 days in office, fellow journalist Kyle Lawson and I went on a trip to Oregon to explore the state of the cannabis industry.
In a minute or two, I will sign an executive order directing the New Jersey Department of Health and the Board of Medical Examiners to review all aspects of our existing medical marijuana program.
One of our first stops on the trip was to Pistil Point, one of the largest indoor cannabis facilities in the Pacific Northwest. While on a tour of the complex, we got to see cannabis at every stage of growth. In one room, they had just harvested a crop of marijuana and were power washing the room to prepare for the next batch. In another room, we watched a room of workers who were trimming down the flowers into buds before they were weighed and prepared for delivery to dispensaries throughout Oregon.
Yeah, for the job opportunities, it's definitely an uprising business. We're able to create more work each time we progress, and then in a day with our 3,000 square feet facility, we'll probably be able to provide more than over 100 jobs.
Another stop we made while in Portland was to a home where a group of friends were gathering for what they called a smoke sesh. We took the opportunity to ask them what their experiences were like navigating both the medical and recreational industries in the state.
Yeah, so I had cerebral palsy, and it's a spastic form of cerebral palsy, so all the muscles in my body contract if I don't have any kind of medication. So I was taking about 11 medications, even a year ago I was taking 11 medications, and now I'm only taking one. All of those medications began to affect my liver and kidney function, and the quality of my life was just decreasing substantially. I started looking for work in the Portland area because I knew legalization was happening. And that was part of my motivation in moving from Montana back into the Portland area. So I had some way of getting access to that medicine.
Our next stop was driving across Oregon about 6 hours into Idaho, where we met with a state trooper whose job it is to patrol the Idaho-Oregon border, looking for drug traffickers and busting impaired drivers along the way.
You know, we'll get people oftentimes that will say, hey, you know, I was just in Oregon, marijuana is legal, but when you come into Idaho, it doesn't matter. You know, we don't have a ton of a discretion in it, so marijuana is illegal, so that's why we have to enforce it. This white vehicle is falling too close. They're within a car length and a half to 2 car lengths from the van that was traveling in front of them. Hey, stay in your vehicle. Shut your door, please. Is there anything we need to know about in here? The canine did alert.
Yeah, I saw it. You said that.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no drugs in there.
Okay, you were saying something though? There's something.
Oh, there's a bottle of fuel additive. That's the only thing I know of in the trunk.
Okay.
In this morning, so.
Oh, okay.
On this particular traffic stop, the trooper called in for a canine who alerted officers to a scent on the driver's side door. But after a search of the vehicle, officers did not find any drugs. The driver, however, said that the owner of the vehicle was known to consume cannabis. That same day, we drove back across the border to a small town in Oregon called Huntington, which is the closest town to Idaho with ordinances that allow for selling of marijuana. This makes it a very popular place for Idaho residents to drive to, buy marijuana, and then illegally transport it back across the border, making themselves a target for police officers like the one we just did a ride-along with.
I'm from Caldwell, Idaho, and I heard there was some marijuana out here that we can purchase legally, so we thought we'd take a trip out and see what it's all about, basically.
This is you said this is your first time?
Yeah, first trip out here, so
What's your impression?
So far, it's not what was expected. We hear a lot about it, so you expect more going on in the town, like as far as buildings and stuff, but it's just a little shop and it seems to be really busy, so it's kind of impressive.
A lot of the counties have opted out of the adult use system. There aren't any adult use dispensaries east of Bend. The one in southern Baker County, Fort 20ville, is the one that's closest to Idaho, and there is, you know, a lot of people coming, and the Idaho State Police set up on I-84, you know, across the Snake River, and are regularly stopping and arresting and prosecuting people. So that's a problem.
We never had an issue, just kind of precautionary to come in the border from one road and then maybe take a back road through the other side of it.
I came back here after it was legalized, and it's definitely actually had a great impact on the economy here. This town was getting down to nothing. There wasn't much left of this town, and since they've legalized marijuana, this town's actually starting to come back. People are starting to move back to the city, and things are happening. It's definitely been great.
They made me go to pretty much all the houses around and talk to every single person to see how they felt about my business coming in here, and everybody was extremely nice about it and had no issues. And one person that did have an issue, I understand, but then they came in like a month later and they were like, the clientele's not what they thought it would be. They, you know, a lot of people associate it with criminals, hoodlums, all kinds of stuff, and they don't realize that it's not any different from anything else, and it's actually a more high-end clientele, because to buy marijuana legally, you're paying more money, so you don't have the lower class people that can't afford things.
If a clear majority, you know, or really a super majority, support legalization, and if overwhelmingly people think that the government shouldn't interfere with medical patients, one would hope that the executive branch and the legislative branch and the judicial branch, they shouldn't get involved.
While on the trip, we asked a lot of the people we interviewed about the risk of transporting cannabis back to your home state where it is illegal. Everyone we spoke to kept the answer short, that possession of marijuana is still a federal crime, leaving the chances of getting caught up to interpretation.
I'm your bud tender for the day. Let's go check out the treehouse. When people come out to state or from out of state, they're usually looking to consume everything they purchase in state. There are a few that, well, there's a lot of people actually that ask if they can take it on the plane, and of course we have to say it's still federally illegal, so crossing state lines would be a federal crime.
I think when you'll really see though that kind of cross-state movement is when the federal government finally allows you to sell product over state lines. Because right now everything has to be grown, created, produced, processed here in Oregon for it to be able to be sold in our stores here, and it will, I'm sure, 100% be the same way in New Jersey too.
Another question we wanted to answer was, with marijuana being legal, what has happened to the black market? Is there still a market for your neighborhood street dealer? The answer was a resounding yes, and the reason is because street weed is still the cheaper option.
If you're going to go to the Green Planet and buy marijuana, you don't buy an ounce. I mean, you generally can't afford an ounce, but you can go down to certain street corners and buy an ounce of marijuana for $20, $30.
Another reason for the black market still being viable is that the legal age to purchase cannabis is 21. We spoke to college students who told us that they usually buy weed from Craigslist. One dealer did tell us that he went out of business because to exist on the black market, your prices have to be significantly lower than dispensaries.
It's a conundrum that people who are pro-legalization or anti-legalization haven't addressed. Are we going to have a black market in marijuana?
The black market for marijuana is alive and well, and based on my training and experience and what I see out here, especially with the legalization, we're seeing more marijuana than we ever have.
We also saw that the marijuana business has an impact on all demographics, including senior citizens. On a visit to a retirement community in King City, a town right outside of Portland, we spoke with a group of residents who have seen the marijuana industry evolve over the past 60-some years.
I feel so much safer because back in the 60s we didn't know what we were smoking, and we were still smoking it, and we didn't know what we were smoking, and most of us didn't get addicted, and very few of us became alcoholics, and very few of us became opiate addicted.
I have an addictive personality. I'm addicted to alcohol. I'll just say that. I have not had a drink in 34, 36 years. I did, at one point, smoke marijuana. I was not addicted to that. I'm addicted to alcohol. So there is somewhat of a difference for me, personally.
There is obviously a large difference between the New York, New Jersey area and Oregon. In New York and New Jersey, there's a much denser, more diverse population, more law enforcement agencies, and more dangerous roadways. But there is also the potential for a much larger boost to tax revenue. If legislation passes to legalize recreational marijuana, we do know that it will definitely impact Staten Islanders, for better or for worse. Reporting for SILive.com, I'm Amanda Steen.